take it away.
Welcome. I'm Sheana Davis, the Epicurean Connection, located here in Sonoma Valley, and thank you for joining us for our mocktail class. This is a fun class that we like to offer, especially during the summer seasons when it's warm outside and, you know, it's a good time to have a fresh juice and stay hydrated. So today I have an array of ingredients that I'm going to share with all of you, and together we're going to make some combinations, and then I will send you all a follow-up email this afternoon with the combinations that we came up with today. So starting with fresh fruits, I have some fresh watermelon, some oranges, citrus, lemon, and lime. I have raspberries, blackberries, the legendary Sonoma Valley Watma strawberries, nectarines, blueberries, and cherries. So between all of these fruits, we're going to be able to make a nice combination of spritzers, a smoothie, agua fresca. And then I basically went through our pantry, which I think is important to utilize ingredients that are accessible to everyone. So I have a can of ginger ale, an elderberry lemon soda, some sparkling waters, some simple syrup and agave syrup, some little smoothies, the Kirkland. We have fresh honey, apple juice, sparkling water, and pineapple water. But really, this is to showcase that this class is meant to really use up items that you may already have in your home, and you don't have to go out and purchase additional ingredients, but you can really make a delicious spritzer, smoothie, agua fresca. So starting with the first one that we made, this one is fresh watermelon, and we literally picked it up this morning, and I simply cut it off the rind. I pureed 2 cups of watermelon in our blender with 12 basil leaves, and we have the most beautiful agua fresca, and I threw a few ice cubes in, and I'm showcasing that we put them in a mason jar, so you can make this a day or 2 ahead of time, put a lid on it, keep it in your refrigerator chilled, and then drop some ice cubes in it and garnish it with a watermelon wedge and have a lovely watermelon fresca. I use basil, but you're welcome to use mint. And you're also welcome to add a little spice to it. If you want to add a little jalapeno, it's delicious. So, and then I use a garnish. I cut the watermelon wedge down the center and simply slip it over the edge of the glass, and it makes a nice garnish. And then I may add a nice basil leaf on top. And so I spread that out on the top of the drink. And I have some edible rose petals over here that sprinkle it on. So there's a gorgeous, very spring summer drink for you to enjoy with the simple ingredients of watermelon, basil, ice cubes, and some rose petals if you have access to them. Lavender blossom works too. So that's one that I really like. We serve that in our catering events. It's also all EBT, WIC, and SNAP approved. So anybody that might be on food stamps, it's a completely accessible recipe. And it's very healthy. There's no added sugar. So it's a great recipe to make with your kids, a great family all Sunday afternoon beverage to make together. So anybody have any questions on the watermelon drink first before we head on to the next one? Oh, and I would like to add in, you're welcome to use the yellow watermelons when they're in season. They're delicious in the mid-summertime. So don't hesitate to maybe garnish with a yellow watermelon. Our local market, you can buy a quarter or a half, but they're far more economical when you buy the whole one. And this drink freezes. So if you want to freeze it in a quart container, mason jars do freeze, or you can use the deli containers, 32-ounce quart containers, freeze them, mark them, you know, watermelon fresca with the date, and then you can pull this out and enjoy it at a later date. Or you can freeze it in ice cubes. That's one of our family favorite ways to freeze juices, is get some ice cube trays and make ice cubes of the watermelon basil, and maybe make 6 watermelon basil and 6 blackberry puree or other ones. And so you have mixed flavored of ice cubes, and that can really enhance just a simple glass of sparkling water with a blackberry mint ice cube in it. Makes for a wonderful spritzer. So I'm going to move this watermelon aside. Does anyone have any questions on that one so far? Oz, any questions?
Yes. So what is the ratio of ice to watermelon?
Excellent. So I use 2 cups of watermelon, fresh cubed watermelon, and I have a seedless one. And I used a cup of ice and a cup of water. So 2 cups fresh fruit, 1 cup of water, 1 cup of ice, and then the 12 basil leaves for a little flavor to it. And that makes the 1 quart jar of watermelon juice. Thank you.
All right, here's another question for you. What type of carbonated water? Seltzer, spritzer, flavored?
Excellent question. So you can use a flavored one. You can get lemon, lime, elderberry, or a simple Trader Joe's sparkling water. Some of the seltzers may be higher in sodium, so you got to choose what flavors you like. So that's why I display the different brands that you'll see on the marketplace. It's really what you prefer. Ginger ale may be a little sweeter. I like the lemon elderflower one. It's almost a little bitter, not sweet at all. Then you have, you know, they call this one the naturally sweet sparkling, I don't even, what is that? Pamplemousse, it's some French. And then I have lime. So you can also use little smoothies. So don't be shy to mix up your ingredients. And in the recipe sheets that we send you today, we'll have an array of recipes from mixing sparkling waters with fresh juices. So not only will you get the ones that we make today, but you'll also get additional recipes for you to then make at home. Okay, Oz, I'm going to move on to this one. This is a kit. Oh, please.
Can you use fresh or frozen fruits or canned fruits?
Oh, yes, please. That's a great question. During the summertime, fresh fruit is always available and traditionally more economical, but come winter seasons, it's harder to find fresh. So today I technically have frozen blueberries, fresh blackberries, fresh strawberries, and raspberries. And you can also use canned fruits if you'd like. I always want to make sure people look at the amount of sugar that's been added to the canned fruits before you actually use them, because boy, if you taste those canned pears with all that sugar in it, then when you taste a fresh pear, some of the kids will never go back to their fresh pears. So check the sugar levels on the canned fruits, but you can use canned, fresh, or frozen. And most importantly, you can freeze your own fruits. You can buy nectarines and chop them up, put them on a tray covered with wax paper, put them in the freezer for a couple hours, pull them back out once they're solid frozen, put them in a Ziploc bag, and now you can pull out cubes of frozen nectarines, peaches, to then put in your smoothies or spritzers.
Thank you.
So this is our next one we're going to make. This is a chamomile tea, and I used 4 bags of chamomile decaf tea and filled it with hot tap water yesterday and put it out in the sun. So it's been out for 24 hours, so it's sun tea if you would. And what I like to do is add in apple juice, and I have regular apple juice from the local grocery store. And I usually make it by the quart. I'm going to make it by a pint here, right here. I have 1.5 cups of chamomile tea. I'm going to put a 1/2 cup apple juice in here. And then what I would like to do is squeeze a little lemon in here. I have a little lemon press. These are fun little tools to use. If you haven't seen one, you can juice all your lemons and lime much quicker than pressing them by hand. And give it a stir. And then over here I have little skewers that I made of blackberries, raspberries, strawberries. So I think I'll garnish this one by putting some blackberries in. And chamomile blackberry is delicious. And then I have some sprigs of lavender from our garden. And I'll give it a couple ice cubes. And what's next? And no sugar added with the exception of the little bit of apple juice. And it makes a delicious summer spritzer of chamomile tea. And your recipe will be made by the quart, but you can make a gallon. And with the chamomile tea, a little bit of lemon juice, some apple juice, and some fresh fruit. I like the blackberries, but if you happen to have blueberries or raspberries, please use those too. And this type of recipe, you can use any tea you have in your pantry. It's a great way to use up your tea bags for your pantry. And in our catering company, we make a weekly tea. And one of our most popular is the sweet cherry tea. And you can either make your own sweet tea with black tea bags, which is caffeinated, or you can buy decaf. And you'll be getting the simple syrup recipe. So you make black tea and simple syrup. So 4 tea bags for a quart of water, and let it rest overnight in the sun in a jar. And your second recipe is a simple syrup. And a lot of people buy the simple syrup at the market. And if you haven't made it before, it's the easiest recipe quite possibly to make. It is equal parts. I say make it by 1 cup granulated white sugar and 1 cup water. Put it in a saute pan and simmer it for about 15 minutes till all the granules are dissolved. Remove it from the heat, allow it to cool. Put it in a mason jar, label it. And now you have simple syrup that you can sweeten your coffee drinks, your tea drinks. You can drizzle over fruits. It's a great base. So I make a black tea, and then I add in the sweet juice. And then I take a cherry juice. So we call it the sweet tea cherry. And so it's 3 cups of sweet tea and 1 cup of cherry juice. And then I like to get the cherries that are double-sided, hang them on the glass. And this makes for a nice garnished cherry drink. It's also nice to bite into a nice crisp, fresh cherry in the season. So sweet cherry tea, and this is one of our items that we've been offering for a long time in our catering department. It's also nice to always offer mocktails. We live in wine country, so a lot of times we're working with wineries. It's nice to offer a tea station. We call it a Tasson station, which is French for tea. And we'll make up a medley of seasonal teas. If the winery happens to have a farm or a vineyard with produce and herbs, we like to harvest them right from the winery themselves, or we're lucky that we work with several farmers here in Sonoma and we get our fresh herbs and spices delivered directly to us. So a sweet cherry tea, and this will be in your recipes too. Any questions on the sweet cherry tea?
Well, first off, I can vouch for it. It's incredibly delicious. And there was a
Thank
question
you.
that came in, can you use other types of tea? I believe you answered most of that.
You can use really the tea of your choice. So whichever tea bags you already happen to have is the best way to start with this recipe.
And how long
what I like
does
to think
simple
about our
syrup?
cooking classes is one, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that, Sheana. How long does simple syrup last? A few days or a week? I guess somebody's debating on how much to make to have on hand.
Technically, you put it in a jar. It'll last months, if not a year, but I'd make it fresh every month, maybe depending on how much you go through, make it, and always label it. We always put dates on our food in the catering and restaurant world, so we know that it's rotated consistently, so we always have the access to the freshest first. So we want to make sure we use up our pantry staple items. So if you make a simple syrup, just label the jar with the date, and that way you'll be able to use it as you need it for your teas, and you'll find you may have other uses for it. But I would say make it by the month, keep it fresh. Or if you are someone that cans, you can actually seal it in the mason jars. So sterilize your mason jars, fill it with the simple syrup, simmer it till the lid indents, remove it, allow it to cool, label it, date it, and you can keep it in your pantry for up to a year.
Awesome. And I have a question that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Can you make a spicy cocktail? And how would you advise going about that?
If we went back to the watermelon one is really delicious. If you like jalapeno, chop up a little jalapeno when you're blending the watermelon and the basil. Just put in a little bit of jalapeno, let it puree in, and it gives it a nice bite. And then garnish it with a little ring of jalapeno. Of course, warning everybody that the jalapeno is hot. So if they're small kids, you may not want to put the jalapeno rings on the glass, but it adds for a nice bite. There's also a nice one you can add a bite to the sweet tea. If you want to take the sweet tea a little further, you can puree it with crushed ice and a little jalapeno, and you get a sweet, hot, spicy tea. And some people like that crunch of chewing on ice when you're drinking, teas. And different bars now have different shades of ice. So if you like crushed ice, I would say blend the tea with a little bit of jalapeno in the blender, and you'll have that nice crunchy ice bite to it.
Awesome. And hey, Ben, can we get a close-up on some of this deliciousness? And here, let me get us Ben's video here.
Ben, our videographer, my husband, is taking care of all the filming, so thank you, Ben. Here's our watermelon with basil and rose petals, the chamomile tea with lemon and apple juice with blackberries and lavender, and the sweet cherry tea. We still have 2 more coming. So great way to use up your fruit that's getting pretty ripe. Maybe you bought too many blueberries because they look delicious, or your nectarines were riper than you thought they might be. So I've put in here a 1/2 cup of chopped nectarines with the skins on, and a quarter cup nectarines and a 1/4 cup blueberries. And you can use it by a muddler, but I typically use a tablespoon. And I just give the fruit a little press to kind of release any more of the juice from the fruits themselves, and also crush it up. Kind of gives the texture of a sangria, if you would. And this recipe is forgiving. You can use any fruit that you have extra. It can be apples, pears, cherries, strawberries, nectarines. If you like the texture of it, chop it up, put it in, it's delicious. I mean, I even do a pineapple banana one, or I use pineapple juice and put in the chopped up banana with a little bit of coconut milk. And it's a delicious, like it almost tastes like a mint Julius, if you would. So this one here, I have the crushed, and I'm gonna venture out and use the lemon. So I have crushed fruit, some ice, a half a cup of crushed fruit total in a glass, but your recipe will be by the quart. So you'll have a cup of crushed fruit, a cup of ice, and 2 cups of the spritzer sparkling water of your choice. And then I'm just gonna give it a little squeeze of lemon because that really brightens the fruit flavor. And this one looks really nice and looks very summery and full of beautiful color. So that one's really fun. I hope that you'll enjoy making that one at home. If you want to take it that extra step, do consider freezing the blueberries and the nectarines already chopped up. And that way that keeps your drink chilled a little longer on these hot days. Like we're going to hit 100 degrees here today. So a crisp, cool beverage like that will taste delicious. So these are all great ways to stay hydrated in these warm days, and a great way to make a beverage at home that is, you know, non-alcoholic, economical to make, and fun to create your own recipes. So I look forward, if any of you ever want to share them on our Instagram or our Facebook page, you can visit Sheana Davis or the Epicurean Connection, and those will be in my email that I follow up with you. So I think we'll make one more. I have some fresh citrus orange, and I'm going to do some berries. We didn't use the raspberries. We'll make some raspberries, put them in here with ice cubes. And again, if you want to freeze your raspberries or blackberries, it makes them hold up longer. It also keeps your drink cooler for a longer period of time. I'm gonna make a triple berry today. Got some blackberries, some raspberries, and how about some blueberries? And while we're at it, I'm gonna take the extra juice from the blueberries as they thaw. It'll give the drink a nice color. There you go. And I think for this one, I'm gonna go with the traditional sparkling water to show that the color really shines from the blueberries and the strawberries and the juice. And I like to put the wedges of orange there for something to chew on, a nice little citrusy flavor, nice decoration. And again, it looks really colorful. It's inviting to enjoy. And, you know, if you're not drinking alcohol, this is a nice way to have your drink not just be a glass of water. You actually have a nice fruity, healthy beverage we call mocktails. So this one is citrus, fresh berries, some sparkling water, and you have the option to freeze your berries to keep your drink chilled longer. But it also looks really nice. And notice we tried to use glassware that most people have in their house. So these are little champagne glasses. We have mason jars, which all the bars use nowadays. They're very durable and sturdy. You can freeze them. And then a stemless wine glass works great. But you can use a champagne flute, a martini glass, or the glasses that you already have at home. Or I'm not opposed to plastic ones. If you're sitting out by the poolside, use plastic so you don't break the glass. So any additional questions on these mocktails today?
Yeah, we've got a couple more, Sheana. Are
Please.
Lemon and lime fairly interchangeable flavor-wise, or are there any flavor combos to avoid?
They're similar, but I would say, like, if I would do a watermelon one with the lime and jalapeno, and that would be delicious. The lemon is a little brighter and it doesn't happen to be as strong sometimes, especially when around here in Northern California, we get the Meyer lemons, and they're not as high in acid, so they're a little more sweet, not as acidic. So the limes are traditionally a little more acidic and a little more stronger flavor. So it's good to make sure you don't overjuice them. And if you do, you can extend it with a sparkling water or one of beverages if you ended up putting too much lemon in it. Good question, thank you.
All right, and one really important one. If you wanted to add some alcohol to the mocktails, what is best?
All of these will have a pairing in your recipe, but if, like the watermelon, that's pretty tequila friendly. The chamomile tea, I've actually never added alcohol to the chamomile tea, but the cherry sweet tea is bourbon. And both of these here could go bourbon or rum with the nice light fruit flavors. So there'll be one pairing of an alcohol in each one of your mocktails. And then the last two are also great sangrias. And you can make those with regular wine or non-alcoholic wine. Good question though, thank you again.
And there's a big thank you to you, Sheana. Thank you for great grandchildren drinks. They will enjoy making them.
Oh, good. Well, all of you will be receiving these recipes, and each week, starting next week on Thursdays, we're moving from Wednesdays to Thursdays. At 11 o'clock is a complimentary family-friendly cooking class. Anyone can sign up. You can go to our website, theepicureanconnection.com, and they're on the bottom right on our calendar. And then at 12 o'clock each Thursday, we do a cheese chat with cheesemakers from around the country. This month is American Cheese Month, so we have artisan American cheesemakers, and we talk about how they make their cheese and what they do with their cheeses and how they're sustaining their businesses during these times. So 2 different classes, but you're welcome to join in both of them. And we look forward to having families join in us. We have some of the Mentoring Alliance join into us, some kids from the Boys and Girls Club, or families. We know some grandparents that check in with their grandkids. So we want to keep this 11 o'clock cooking class family friendly so that everyone can join us and have a good time. Well, with that said, I'd like to thank Oz Robledo, Oz and M, and also my husband Ben Sessions for filming, and Oz keeping us all tech savvy and moderating. So thank you very much.
And hey, Sheana, one last question here. Will you do a cheese making class?
Yes, we will bring back our creme de ricotta class in July. We did it last month. That's our most popular class. In the class, by using milk, cream, and vinegar and salt, you can make a 2 to 3 pound wheel at home with all accessible grocery store items, and all the materials you use to make the cheese are accessible and easily located within each region. So yes, we will bring the creme de ricotta back and make that again in July.
Thank you so much, Sheana.
Thank you all for tuning in, and thanks again, Oz and Ben, and thank you all for joining us. I hope you stay safe and healthy this week. Thank you.